melt is when I'm ocean waves.
Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have AJ Schuetz, and attacking forward for the Naval Academy, a midshipman there, first year. Also played at Patriot High School and VDA. AJ, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, just to give folks the broad strokes of your short career, I seem to remember you playing for PWSI. I think my son played against you many years ago. Is that where you started your travel soccer?
Yes, well, so I started at NVSC, and then after that, I just as I was getting better, PWSI was the big club in the area, so I went to PWSI and played for Rob Cheshire. So I started there, and then when VDA became a thing is when I went there.
Okay, so then you had a great run there at VDA, and I know your Patriot team. I think you were first team All State with Patriot, and then you went to the Naval Academy, and what you made front page news, at least sports news, by getting the game winning goal against American and the Patriot League tournament final, and helping Navy to qualify for the NCAA tournament. That was an amazing moment. When you look back on that goal, did you mean to do it exactly the way it went in, or tell us about that goal?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say how it went in. It was a couple of lucky bounces. I mean, I took the ball on the wing, ran by the guy, got a little bit of separation. I was just looking to ping it in, into the danger area, right? And it just took a weird bounce, came back off of my knee or something. Just miscommunication by the defender and the keeper, somehow found on the back of the net. But
is that one of the greatest moments of your sporting career?
For sure. It was unbelievable. I mean, especially because I went from I didn't play, I wasn't starting in the beginning of the season. I earned my starting spot a little bit maybe halfway through the season, and to make a big impact like that in our final game was I couldn't believe it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great. Well, I definitely got my attention. Well, let's go back to NVSC. How did you get started in soccer? Did you come from a soccer family?
No, so my brother had played soccer, and my sister. Neither of my parents did though. But yeah, I just got into soccer early. My parents playing rec when I was 4. I mean, from super young, and then I started playing travel when I was 7 or 8. And I played 3 years at NVSC. I want to say maybe 2, and then that's when I went to PWSI.
Who were your first heroes? When you first started playing soccer, who'd you try to play like? My guess is Ronaldo. My guess is Ronaldo, but just.
Well, I was always a Manchester United fan early on because of Wayne Rooney.
Oh.
I liked Wayne Rooney when I was little, but then I guess as I got a little bit older, I really started to like Gareth Bale. I liked watching him a lot. He was really good. I thought I was really thinking he was going to become the next best thing, but he kind of got some injuries and stuff like that. Didn't have the greatest career, but yeah, I would say those two.
And you're a left wing, kind of like Gareth Bale too. Is that right?
I am now. Yeah, now.
Yeah. So, well, who was your first important coach? Who taught you how to? Who was the first coach that started teaching you about the game, and under who you started making progress?
Well, so when I was at NVSC, I had actually a really good coach. I'll highlight one from PWSI and one from NVSC. When I was at NVSC, I had Coach Ben Kamara. I think is how you say his last name. We just called him Coach Ben. Do you know him?
I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he would run us to the ground when we were 9. Just teach us how to work hard. If you were disrespectful, if you said anything when he was talking, it was a lap, guaranteed. He just taught us good discipline, and I remember he would always tell me, because I would just always dribble. He always tell me combos. So I learned to 1-2s and things like that. Learned how to play with the team through him. And then when I got to PWSI is when I had Rob Cheshire, and he was a really good coach. That's when I just like kind of just developed like all the like main skills and everything, I would say. Um, so I guess probably most of my like development came there, and then like the early years of VDA as well.
Yeah. Well, when you look back on your career, and again, my son was a 03, so you guys, I mean, he was in the Arlington, Alexandria area, so we didn't see you guys a lot, but I did see you over the years because the name AJ always would stick out, and plus you're a really good player. But you think about all the changes that happened. It was the age group change. It was 03, 04, and then it became 03. There was
Yep.
the academies came in, then they went back, and then MLS next. There's been all these changes over the last 10 years to travel soccer, and you experienced all of them, and I did too as a soccer parent. Why do you think you were able to make it and become such a good player, play Division I soccer, and start right away? When you look at some of your friends who didn't stick with it, the ones that they were at the U9 tryouts with you, they made travel. What do you think was the difference with you? Why did you stick with it? Why did you succeed when others may not have succeeded, or maybe they didn't even want you? Maybe they got tired of soccer and went on to other things.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a hard question. I guess I would just say like I think that I saw like a lot of people in high school just kind of fall out of love with playing soccer.
Mhm.
I think that's like a big thing is like staying like keeping it fun, like, and I think high school soccer gives that for sure. For a lot of the academy guys, like it keeps it fun, like make sure and like just make sure like at least for me, like in the summers and stuff, like obviously with travel ball, we were always playing. But like when you get the chance to go out on your own, like training on your own, um, and like just going, like I'm not sure if you're familiar with HP Elite and Beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and I would play there with Coach Kwan. I played there a lot when I was little. And that was really, really good for me as well, I'll say. Um, as for like the difference, I mean, I can't really say for sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like if you keep working hard and you want it, anybody can really achieve it.
Yeah. And so a lot of the things you did outside of your teams, like
Mhm.
your clubs, like the HB Elite, the additional training, maybe even ODP. I know a lot of kids don't do that anymore, but those extra um, training opportunities and um, tournament opportunities, were they important to your development?
Yeah, I would say for sure. Like for sure, the HP Elite was definitely important. Because like when we went there, it was like all good players. Like like it was like just top level players from all around. So it was just a good competition, and they would push you like really hard. I actually worked there. Before I came here, I worked there as a coach, like one of the coaches, and to see like the environment's still the same. Like you're pushing them, getting like as many reps as possible. Um, just getting as many touches as you can. Like you get so many more individual touches and passes. Like when you go and like train by yourself or train in like smaller groups like that than you do like if you're just going to practice. Um, but I would say yeah, I gained a lot from that, and then I never did ODP, but I did something. I don't know if you're familiar with like the PDP to ID2 route. I did that when I was little, and I was called up for a couple of the regional camps, and one was at PDA's field, um, and then I had another one in Raleigh when I was like that was around when I was in PWSI. So those definitely helped as well a lot. I would say just like being in like those top level environments, like putting yourself in the. I would say that like that's a big thing is just putting yourself like in the top level environments like to compete.
So when the academy structure was introduced, and I believe it was CYA, SYA, and PWSI joined together, or maybe MVSC as
It
well.
was
Yeah.
it was CYA, VSA, and PWSI.
Okay, exactly. And you guys got together and created this academy.
Mhm.
It was tell us about BDA. Was it important to your development and the chance to play at that high level with excellent players?
Yes, I mean those first few years, I mean VDA like it was like an excellent club. I would say like my first few years with VDA was like just it was so professional. Like for being how young we were and like playing with like, I mean it was basically like taking like the best players from every like local team and throwing them on one team. You know, I've heard you talking about Joga, kind of like Joga,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, because when I remember when I played against Joga, it was like that. Um, but yeah, it was just like VDA was definitely like a really really good thing, and then to go and play against like New York Red Bulls and Philly Union, definitely was like a big commitment for like our parents and everything. But I think that stuff was definitely worth it because you don't really get like that type of experience playing against those good players if you just like stay at the like lower club levels.
What about high school? Like a lot of top players like yourself don't play high school soccer. Many like Andres, your excellent club teammate from BDA, he played just his
Mhm.
senior year after being prodded by his classmates. What's your philosophy on high school soccer, and do you think it was helpful to your development?
I do actually think it was helpful. I do. I don't think it made me like a better player, like tactically or like with my touch or anything like that. Just because I mean, it's not as high of a level as playing club ball, but I do think for at least for me personally, it helped me a lot with my confidence
Mhm.
because when I would go and play with BDA, like I would struggle from time to time. Like you're playing against much better players, like it can get frustrating. You feel like you're not that good. But then you take players from the academies and put them in the high school field, and it's like it's more fun. You're playing like you're playing more free. So I think that like for me, like it was actually very helpful, and I also learned like the importance of like winning too, like how to win because with VDA, like it was always like focused on like the players' development, right? So like playing with like my school, it was all about winning.
Mhm.
So, and I mean that's more about how it is like here, like in college. It's all every school wants to win. So I think like having some sort of place where you're focused on winning is important.
Patriot High School out in, I believe, Haymarket. Is that correct, AJ?
It's technically I think in Noakesville, but
Noakesville.
it's
That's
like
right. That's right. Noakesville.
yeah,
I'm sorry. That's Battlefield's in Haymarket, but it's in
yeah.
Noakesville. But they really support their sports. They got great sports at Patriot. I mean, the football team was amazing this year. The
Mhm.
basketball team was amazing last year and this year. I'm good friends of Coach Sherman Rivers. Um, but was it important for you to have that connection with your high school friends and teammates and the people that came to watch you play, getting announced and starting lineups? Was that experience kind of fun and a little bit different than a club experience where sometimes you're traveling with your teammates and there's not even parents there because it's so far away from home.
Mhm. Yeah, getting that recognition and everything and like having people supporting us was honestly awesome. Like because I went my whole soccer career like, thinking I'm like this good player, but like all these other kids who play football and basketball are like getting all this like, praise and everything. And it's like, yeah, I mean that at the end of the day, that's not really that big a deal. But like, for a kid, like that stuff like is kind of nice. So when you go and play high school and you have like the supporters and then, a lot of like the kids from like the other sports even would come to some of the soccer games, um, which was nice. And like to like get the awards and everything like that stuff actually does mean something.
Yeah. It's interesting. As a soccer dad, I never got nervous watching my son play club. But high school games, I would be nervous. I mean, because they mean so much. And, he goes to Yorktown. He went to Yorktown and we'd play, Washington, Liberty, Langley, all these teams that have these players that we're very familiar with. So all the games are very intense. And I
Hmm.
mean, club is great. I mean, the soccer is beautiful. It's obviously a higher quality, but the intensity of high school soccer per fan, we just couldn't beat that. Why did you decide to go to Navy? Do you come from a naval family? And by the way, it's probably time for you to get a haircut.
Yes, it is actually. You're right. I actually got a little talking to yesterday about that. No, but I mean that's a loaded question for sure. There's a lot of reasons why I chose to come to Navy. Um, one being it's just like a very prestigious school. Like I wanted to like do like something big. I would say like it gave me a purpose coming here. That's another big thing. Like just going to any other school, like I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but coming to Navy like gave me a purpose, gave me like, you know, something to like that's actually like important, like not rather than just myself.
Mhm.
So I would say that another factor was just the money thing. Like, I mean, it's free to go to Naval Academy if you get in. So the financial thing, I mean, they're literally paying me to go to school rather than me pay them to go to school, which is pretty awesome. You don't really get that anywhere else, other than in college football nowadays. But
They put you,
yeah,
they might put you to shame on that one nowadays if you're a high profile quarterback, huh?
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, I just wanted to like challenge myself. I felt like this was a place where like I could go and like really like test to see if I can like reach my maximum potential, like mentally and physically, and like just become like a better overall person. And like meet people who have like similar like mindsets about that, and like just kind of like it's a good place for growth rather than just attending like a regular university.
I think it's great. I don't know anyone who went to any of the academies that is not successful. So all my friends who went to academies, and no matter which one, they did great in life. So you made a tremendous decision. So when you go to Navy, as I have a friend whose son was being recruited to play basketball at Air Force, and they wouldn't tell you right away whether or not you're going to go right into the academy or you're going to go to the prep school first. That's Air Force? I mean, does that happen at Navy where you may end up going to the prep school before you go to the Naval Academy?
Yes, that does actually happen a lot. We have this thing called NAPS, the Naval Academy Prep School. My one of my roommates went there. None of the soccer guys went to NAPS because they don't have a soccer team, but some of like the soccer guys in my class they had to do like prep years at other prep schools, but like almost like all of the football guys go to NAPS before coming here. I mean, for me, I didn't really even know like that was like that much of a thing. I guess just because I had good enough grades that they didn't really mention that with me. So I mean, luckily, because if I had to do that extra year, who knows? I mean, I could have made a different decision. That would have been hard because
Yeah.
the whole year is definitely a commitment.
Yeah. So when you think about your soccer development, I mean, is that and still really important to you? Because obviously your career path is pretty much mapped up in some regard. But is it harder to think about soccer development now that you're in the Naval Academy?
Yes, definitely.
Mhm.
I mean, soccer is still like super important. Like, I mean, up in like my soccer is pretty much my life. It's always been my life. So it's kind of weird that like now that I'm here, in some ways, soccer's like kind of just on the side because of like how much academic and Navy stuff I have to deal with. Um, yes, I still like. I mean, I still have like dreams to go pro and everything, but that's definitely going to be more difficult being here. But yeah, it's different. Like soccer not being like just at the front of my life all the time.
Yeah. Well, do you ever think about just being a midshipman and not playing soccer, or do you ever think about what life would have been like if you would have gone to another school and didn't have to do drill and those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, I have thought about that for sure. It's it's impossible not to think about that kind of thing. I mean, especially during like plebe summer, you know, when we're going through like all the hard stuff, like, you know, waking up early, you know, getting beat down all the time. It's like, wow, like my friends are over like, you know, doing this and that at, you know, Virginia Tech. So it's like it's definitely hard to think about that type of stuff, but you just have to. What I found, you just kind of got to think like about the reason why you came here in the first place, and they kind of emphasize that here. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. Well, one thing that you were able to do right away, even though you mentioned earlier you didn't start, but you got playing time And so many, I keep close track of the top players in the area just because I've been following them for so long. I've been taking pictures of games for so long that you want to see how it turns out for players. And a lot of players that went to Division I didn't play very much at all. You're
Yeah.
playing against 23-year-old kids because a lot of grad students are allowed to play now because of COVID rules and other rules. But it just takes time, I think, to get it adjusted. It must be great though to come in right away and get really meaningful playing time.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure. Like, I mean, they didn't promise me like, oh, you're gonna start and play every minute you're here. Like, they didn't say anything like that. I mean, and I'm glad they didn't, because who knows what's gonna happen when you get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I just came in. I had some struggles, and Coach OD got on me quite a bit at the beginning of the season. We're just harping on little things, like I would making certain mistakes. I think that probably did help. And I think I came a decent way, like as to like developing into the system and the college game throughout the season. So yeah, I mean, it as for like why, like what to do to like get that starting spot early is kind of hard. I guess it's just like train. Don't give up. I mean, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm not playing, but like just gotta keep training hard every time you get the opportunity.
So are you able to train a lot? I mean, because you have a pretty full schedule with academics, I'm sure it's a heavy engineering schedule, my guess is as well as drill. I mean, do you have time for extra training, or is your day pretty regimented?
It's very regimented, yeah. But I mean, you can get in extra training here and there. Like we have free periods. I mean, like it's you might want to spend those periods working on your homework or something. But if you really wanted to put the extra work in, you could.
Yeah. What's Coach O'Donohue like? What's his style of coaching, and what kind of things have you learned from him?
Um, yeah, he's his style of coaching. He focuses on. We've got like these things up on our wall in the locker room. It says compete, 90 minutes, hard work, have fun, resilience, like just things like that. He harps on those a lot. And another big thing that he really believes in is team culture. So we focus on that a lot. I think we have a really good team culture.
Mhm.
Here, I think that's something that separates us from other schools. I think that other schools might have like problems here and there, but like we really almost never have problems within in the locker room or anything like that. Like we're really close knit team. And I think Coach OD like really values that kind of thing.
What's the playing style like? Now your scores are very low scoring games. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
number of goals for and against very low. All the games are very close and very probably very tense. So what kind of style of soccer do you guys play?
Yeah, so our goal was to play like a like very like possession based game, and just pass the ball. Like we were getting so many passes like early on in the season, like 600 passes a game. Um, so we wanted to play like a possession based game, not too vertical. Um, as the season developed, we weren't scoring enough, so we tried to play a little bit more vertical, take more risks in the attacking third. And then as we got to playing some of the better teams, unfortunately, I don't know if it was completely intended, but we shifted to like a more defensive playing style, which was very difficult. For my position, I was doing a lot of running, because we were trying to set a press, but when you're back in your own half, it was very difficult. So we ended up playing like pretty defensively toward the end of the season, but it ended up panning out.
Yeah.
So
As a player, what are the biggest adjustments to college soccer that you had to make? I mean, you played very high level club and youth soccer, and now you're in college, and college has a reputation of being a very physical, fast
mhm.
game. But how did you find the adjustment?
I would say the biggest thing was sticking to the basics. Just like locking in on like, receiving the ball on your back foot inside of the foot, pass the ball to the inside of the foot, simple things like that. Don't force things. Like I mean, even at VDA, like still like played much more freely. Like it wasn't a big deal if you would lose the ball. Like you know. But like in college, one big mistake like that is a big, big deal. If you concede off of a mistake, like, one goal, that could be the game. So I would say like really focusing on the basics, and I've played a lot more safe, I would say, than I did in high school soccer or VDA. So that's what I would say.
Do you miss the freedom of club soccer where you don't it is more loose? There's going to be more than a few goals, and you can kind of be more creative and express yourself. Do you miss those days, or do you enjoy the way it is in the college game?
I mean, there's benefits of both. Like, yeah, I miss some of that, but at the same time, like at Navy, it's like every game we're like competing, like it's a must win game every game. And that makes it much more fun.
Yeah.
It's more similar to like Patriot when it was like, you're tracking the records of every team.
Mhm.
That you didn't really do that at the academy level, so that makes it much more fun.
Yeah. Well, you broke through against Holy Cross and you scored your first goal up there, and it was an equalizer, so it was a very important goal. Why don't you describe for us that goal in that moment?
That was so relieving, very relieving. I would say, just finally, like finally, I got something to say for myself. Like I because I remember in that game he wasn't gonna put me in. He wasn't gonna put me in. And then he ended up putting me in. I scored on like my first touch. So, and I made a mistake right after, I remember, and he was on me about it, but he congratulated me for the goal, and like yeah, that was definitely big for like my confidence and everything too.
Did you hear from your teammates from back home from after you scored that goal?
Yeah, I mean, definitely my parents. I heard a lot from the people back home after the championship game, but yeah, I heard from a few friends after that one. Yeah.
Yeah, when you scored that championship game, I didn't even know you'd been playing so much because I would have been keeping closer tabs. And I was like so happy. I was so happy for you that you're able to come through. Well, what about one thing that you had? One excruciating moment for a soccer player is when you're in knockout and you have to go shoot penalties. And against BU, Boston University, you had to take the penalty. You had to take a penalty shot, and
Mhm.
you're able to make it. What was that feeling? Was it just a horrible, nerve wracking feeling, or as an attacking player, you're used to it, no problem? What was your mindset when you were taking your penalty?
Definitely not no problem. It was, it was big stakes. I was nervous. I wouldn't say I was shaking. It wasn't like I wasn't too nervous. I was definitely nervous. I was trying to put it to the side. But I had discussed with coach like the day before, talking about how I was going to take the penalty because I did a little stutter step in there. It's kind of just what I had done in the past, so I was comfortable with. And he said like he didn't like it, but he was like, but if that's what you want to do, then do it, right? So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I did it, and it worked out. Um, Slotted it right in the bottom left corner. That was huge. That was also very relieving because if I had messed that one up, I would have heard it for sure.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the win over American University, which is great because it's a local team. You probably know players on the team, and it got you guys to the NCAA tournament, and you got to play Georgetown, which is obviously an amazing program. What was it like to play in the NCAA tournament?
Awesome. Yeah, it was great. I couldn't have really asked for a better first season. Unfortunately, we lost, but I think we competed a lot more than it might show on like the score sheet. I think that we had some big chances that if they had gone in, it would have been a completely different game. We almost scored 2 minutes into the game, and we had a big. I had a big shot that definitely went off of the guy's arm. In the box. So they call that. It might be a different game. Just different things gone our way, and I think we would have been in it. But yeah, it was amazing playing.
Yeah. Have you set goals for yourself for your rest of your career at Navy, or are you just the kind of player that every game, every season, you just try to do your best?
Yeah, two goals that I'm kind of focusing on is so being a captain. of the team at Navy is a little bit different than being a captain of a team at any other school. It's actually like a billet. So it's kind of like a job as well.
Hmm.
So you have like responsibilities outside of the team as well. So that's my goal is so when I'm a senior, I want to get that billet as the captain. And as for just like this coming season, my goal is to just I want to be at least third team, second team, first team, all Patriot League. Just get something, get my name out there.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure you'll get there. Have you enjoyed Annapolis? What's it like as a college town?
Well, fortunately, I don't get to see it that much. I'm only really allowed to leave on Saturdays for a short amount of time as a freshman, but it's super nice. I mean, downtown Annapolis. I mean, we're so lucky to have that right there within walking distance. Like for the upperclassmen, I know, like they'll go out to the bars and stuff like that on the weekends. And there's just tons to do. It's pretty cool to have downtown Annapolis right there.
Yeah. Well, look, I know you mentioned earlier that you'd hope to have a pro career one day, but obviously you're going to have at least, I believe, 4 years in the Navy. What kind of things would you like to accomplish while you're in the Navy?
So as of right now, my main choice is to be in aviation. I want to
Oh, awesome.
fly fighter jets. So I mean that could change. That could change because I still have so much more to learn about the Navy, in my next 3 years here. But that's what I intend to do. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, look, AJ, this has been great. Congratulations on a great first year, first season in soccer and first semester of college. Yeah, I think you're well on your way to being an officer and a gentleman. Yeah, I've enjoyed watching your progress, and next year I'll be able to focus on your games and watch a couple online because I'll know that you're a major contributor. So, but look, I want to just thank you for doing this, and again, congratulate you on a great season, and I'm sure your parents are very proud of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
great, AJ. Let's keep in touch, and best of luck in the second semester.